Good afternoon, everybody. This is going to be calling our work session to order. We will do an agenda review, and Michelle Meyer is going to talk to us about her strategic planning packet review. Hi, Michelle.
Rochelle, are you able to hear us? Okay. We're ready to receive the draft strategic plan.
Okay, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Well, welcome everyone. Good to see you all on Zoom. I wish I were down in Reedsport in person with you. You all should have a draft copy of the strategic plan. And I'm hoping that you were able to take some time and review it prior to our time tonight. I really want to start tonight just by grounding us in where we've been and where we're going. So if you'll indulge me a minute, I just want to review how we started this process. So this has taken about a year for us to complete. We started in August, and we started with a staff meeting, and we engaged staff at that time, letting them know what was going to occur, and thoughtfully planned a time for me to come down and spend a few days. And during that time, we engaged students, staff, families, community members, city leadership, and you all. We reviewed attendance data, enrollment data, achievement data, graduation data, accountability data, and then I used the SOAR framework to identify strengths, opportunities, aspirations, and then we looked at results. When I came back down there, and then we reported this information to the board in November. Then when I came back down in February, we gathered in the boardroom there and we developed priorities and goals. And we had all of our stakeholders there with us, helping us design goal statements and priorities. So the priorities that you see tonight are not the result of just one meeting or one group or one person's opinions. It is the result of a year of engagement and analysis. So tonight, we're not talking about the creation of the plan or continuing creating the plan, and we're confirming that this plan reflects what you know to be true, what we heard, and what the data tells us. So I really want to spend the time tonight ensuring that our strategic priorities reflect what we talked about, what we've heard, and make sure that this plan represents the 5-year outcomes, that represents the vision, the mission of Reedsport School District. So any questions before we move on? So I'm not going to go through the entire strategic plan line item by line item. The idea here is to spend a couple minutes around each of the priorities, really outlining 5-year outcomes, because those outcomes are what gets us to the goal. So the first strategic priority I want to highlight is strategic priority number 1, which is around student attendance, belonging, and well-being. So this by far came out as a priority from students, parents, staff, and the board actually. And so the goal statement here is that ReadSport will create safe, engaging, and supportive learning environments where students experience belonging, attend regularly, and are connected to caring adults and meaningful learning opportunities. So this came out again through our engagements. We all heard consistently students identified mental health, staff identified student engagement, belonging, and attendance as critical district priorities. And our data, our attendance data, also signified a barrier to consistent student engagement. So the 5-year outcomes listed there: increased K-5 regular attendance rates from 57.1 to 75%, reduced chronic absenteeism across all student groups, improved student belonging and climate survey results, reduce exclusionary discipline responses. So exclusionary discipline means when students are placed in out of school suspension, that's an exclusionary practice. Increased student participation, extracurricular, and engagement opportunities. So those are the 5-year outcomes that are in response to that strategic priority. So I'm going to just take a pause there and ask for any curiosities, or ask the boards, like, yes, thumbs up, that sounds like what was reflected in the data from all of the engagement, or are we off somewhere?
I'm interested in the regular attendance rates. How do we boost those?
Could you repeat the question? I'm sorry.
Yes. The K through 5 regular attendance rates, how do we bring those up?
Yeah, so that will be, so under strategic initiatives, that's where the implementation, that's a really great question. So that's where implementation happens. So that's where the board works with district leadership to create an implementation plan on getting to those data points. So there could be John's already been attending a statewide attendance cohort. So I would continue encouraging that network, and implementing a district-wide attendance intervention framework would be another recommendation in the strategic initiatives. Increasing family partnerships related to attendance. One of the things that was identified was really getting those family partnerships established so that families will be connected to the school. Establish early identification systems for attendance, so EIIS systems, so early indicator systems, making sure those are established at all levels of the district. Does that help answer questions?
Yes, I believe so. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Strategic priority, and I want to go back to that priority one, that like, it's one thing to have an attendance goal. What students identified most was the sense of belonging. And so those two things need to come together. So getting students to school, we can incentivize that, but they also named, like, they want to feel like there's belonging and that there's mental health supports. So that also comes out in the strategic initiatives and success indicators under that goal. Okay, moving to strategic priority number 2, student learning and future readiness. This came out in the data around the district will improve student achievement, graduation outcomes, and future readiness through aligned instruction. This means like curriculum, rigorous learning experiences, and expanded pathways for all students. So again, looking at the data, academic achievement and graduation outcomes remain below state expectations. So students and community members expressed a desire for stronger instructional systems, expanded opportunities, and increased preparation for life after high school. So we get down to the 5-year outcomes. Increasing ELA, so English language arts, proficiency from 25.8 to 45% or higher. Increase math proficiency from 16.4 to 35% or higher. And increase 4-year graduation rates from 63.5% to 85% or higher. Increase 9th grade on track indicators. And expand career connected learning and post-secondary opportunities. So if those percentages that I named for a 5-year outcome, if those don't feel right, those can also be adjusted.
I think that's a good outcome. So that's what you're asking in year number 5, we hope to be at 45%.
Yep.
I don't think that's unreasonable.
So we're talking about 5 years, right? And if we think about the continuous improvement cycle, it takes 3 to 5 years to make those kinds of big changes. So I feel like we're on track here, but again, this strategic plan is going to be the heartbeat for the board. Like, this is what you're going to go to make decisions. This is what you're going to use to develop your goals as a board for the district. So this is really important that this feels like the right touch to you all.
There's no possibility of raising our math scores up higher than 35%.
I mean, there is a way. I will tell you from the state perspective, there's no resourcing of dollars from the state for math. We do have that for early literacy, but not for math. So right now, you know, you're at 16.4%. That's more than doubled in 5 years to get to the 35%. I mean, it's okay to be ambitious. So if you want to, you know, put that at a little bit higher, we could do that.
It's pretty low, but if we put it too high, we're not going to meet any of these. It's better to just go over the line. So Michelle, when you mentioned in here increasing 9th grade on-track indicators, what does that look like? What does that involve?
We have a 9th grade on track on the report card. So we would want to just make sure that the indicators that those increase. So the amount of 9th graders on track would increase to, I don't know what the, I'd have to go back and review again what the 9th grade on track percentage is. But what we know to be true is when 9th graders are on track in 9th grade, that sets them up for success to graduate on time in 4 years. So what we want to see is the least amount of we want to see the most amount of 9th graders on track. So that means high attendance, they're attending school, that means their academic grades that means they're passing classes, so that they're involved in school somehow.
Okay.
And again, that would be part of the implementation. So the board would be asking for the implementation plan for increasing ninth grade on track. So that would be the part on the implementation side for the district.
Thank you.
Am I okay to move on?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, strategic priority number 3 is around staff recruitment, retention, and culture. We spent a lot of time talking about this as a board, just how we foster that staffing to keep staff in Reedsport and make sure that it feels supportive and a growth-oriented culture. Stakeholders in our engagements identified staff culture, communication support, and retention as an important district priority. Strong staff systems are essential for student success and district stability. So 5-year outcomes, improve annual staff retention rates, increase positive staff climate survey results, increase staff participation in professional learning, and strengthen internal leadership development pathways. So that means we are creating conditions where we grow, especially in small communities, where we can grow our teacher leaders into the next level of leadership. And improve collaboration and communication across schools and departments. And you can see below that some of the strategic initiatives below outline kind of the implementation of how you get to those 5-year outcomes. So one of the things is to implement an annual staff climate and culture survey. So we already have this SEED survey that is a mandatory survey from the state. So we want to encourage staff. We also have a mandatory staff climate survey that comes from the state that has to be implemented each year. So we just want to we want staff at Reedsport to fill those out and make sure they're giving good feedback. So then leadership's able to know what to do with that and they can report out to the board. So there was a piece in here about improving internal communication structures that came out, and increase recognition and celebration systems as well.
Any questions?
Does the board have any questions regarding strategic priority number 3?
I just asked them and they said no.
Okay. Strategic priority number 4, family and community partnership. So when we did our engagement, stakeholders identified communication, family involvement, and community connection as major priorities. So strong partnerships increase student success, trust, and long-term district stability. 5-year outcomes increase family engagement, participation, improve community perception and trust indicators, increase two-way communication opportunities, reduce barriers to family involvement, and increase community partnerships and volunteer opportunities. So those are the 5-year outcomes. And then the strategic initiatives are the ways that I'm suggesting that could be implemented to get to the 5-year outcome. So the strategic initiatives the board, you can think about those strategic initiatives are the plans to get to the 5-year outcomes. So this is the, like, what we're doing and how we're doing it.
Michelle, does the state provide any guidance on how to develop and initiate these initiatives? Or is it left to the individual school boards to do their own?
Well, that's part of why you have me. So I'm outlining, based on your feedback, I'm outlining what I think the strategic initiatives would be to match up to our 5-year outcome goal. And then it's up to district leadership to, they're the implementers. So the teachers, the staff, they're the implementers of the strategic initiatives to get to the 5-year outcome.
So as an example, strengthen student family voice structures. What is it?
Yep. So what that means is, how are we incorporating student voice into giving feedback and input on, let's say, scheduling. So a way that I incorporated student voice in strategic planning was, I was very intentional about making sure that students in grades 7 through 12 had an opportunity to voice what was happening and what their ideas were. And then I also gave them a survey, and then I invited them back in to give voice and agency to what they feel like they need and want. So that's one example of how, I know you all were going to have a student ambassador serve on the board. So that's another way that you're giving, strengthening student voice.
Okay, thank you.
And we do have.
It wouldn't be a bad idea to have, like I know you have a student leadership piece, but maybe there's a student roundtable that meets monthly with the superintendent. Maybe that's one thing you could do to increase student voice. I'm not saying you should do that. I'm just saying that's another example of increasing student voice.
Ready to go.
Okay. Okay, strategic priority number 5 is community confidence, enrollment, and district sustainability. So what came up in our engagement was long-term enrollment decline impacts the amount of funding, staffing, program opportunities, and district sustainability. We see the enrollment declining across for Reedsport, which is conducive to what we see across the state. So it's not just a Reedsport issue, it's declining enrollment statewide. So we looked at 5-year outcomes, so stabilize and increase enrollment trends, improve student retention within the district, so leveraging resources so that we don't have a lot of folks that are transferring out of district, increase community confidence in district direction. So that really came out of community voicing, what are Reedsport's goals? What are we working toward? That's why this strategic plan can be used to communicate out to your communities what the goals are. The board can communicate, these are our strategic priorities. This is what we're working toward. Get families and students involved in that. Improve accountability indicators across student groups. So that means we are increasing scores, academic scores for all students at Reedsport. And then a big goal would be to exit the comprehensive support status, your federal school improvement. So come out of federal school improvement is a 5-year outcome goal.
Sure glad we got you to help us out here.
Always happy to help. So this is, these are strategic planning is a big undertaking, but what it does do is it provides direction for the board, for district leadership, for families, for students, for staff. This becomes your North Star. This is your compass for the next 5 years. So it really wouldn't, the strategic plan serves as this compass. So it really wouldn't matter who the superintendent is, who the board members are. This is the document that guides what happens. So that's why it's really critical that you all are spending time in this document, and that it's not just going to sit on a shelf. Okay, so it feels to me that you're saying yes to the 5-year outcomes. That was mainly what I needed to know from the board, is how you felt about the 5-year outcomes. So can we talk a little bit about the role moving forward? So I have some recommendations to keep this plan alive. Is that we will adopt this plan, and then I will do my job and pretty it all up and put graphics on it, make it nice. And then the board's role really is to keep the district focused on the strategic priorities and use that mission and vision and the strategic priorities to guide your decision making. And one recommendation I have to keep this alive is for it to be on your board agenda every month. And as implementation starts rolling out, that those updates are given. I have a suggested monitoring structure for the board. So monthly, just strategic plan process listed as a standing board agenda item. And then quarterly, a progress report on one of the strategic priority areas. Annually, a strategic plan review and community progress report. And then when you do your budget in the next cycle, that your budget decisions are aligned to these strategic priorities. So those are some they're just suggestions, but I think it's a really powerful way for you all to stay connected to the work and to show your community that you're aligned on the strategic priorities for the district. This is where your vision is as a board. This is what staff, students, and community have said. And so I think, you're all elected officials and you're in a position to be able to move this forward.
I like the agenda, adding that to the agenda every month, because things seem to get lost once in a while. Yeah. And we're busy. Questions?
Yeah. And it could even be, if you add it monthly, then Charmin could also make sure it gets their on your quarterly agenda, you know, a deeper dive into maybe 2 of the strategic priorities or something like that. And then annually, maybe in this board meeting next year, we sit and we review where we're at with the strategic plan, what's been accomplished, and where we still need to make moves. Because I just want to be clear too, it's not reasonable for us to think that all these strategic initiatives will be rolled out in this school year, right? Like it'll be baby steps at a time.
And who does the reports? These reports?
It would,
Graders and teachers do that?
yeah, it would be the implementers. Yep.
Okay.
Primarily, it would be district leadership. So it would be principals, assistant principals, superintendents, any other cabinet level folks. So I'd love to hear from the board, just your feedback. Do these priorities accurately reflect the engagement and district data that, you know, we've talked about?
Yes, I think they do. We're hard to get to this point, so I think you covered it.
There was a lot of data. But that's a good thing. We had a good turnout on our engagements. So, is there anything that's significant that's missing?
I think you pretty much hit the important things right up front, Michelle. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Well, this is a huge milestone, Reed Support Board. Congratulations. We're almost there. This really is an opportunity for you to have a North Star on how you make decisions moving forward. And, you know, the real work is in the adoption and the implementation of this. So I'm excited to be able to send you a final draft. Will you be adopting this? Is this on your agenda to adopt tonight?
I don't believe it is tonight.
No, that is not on your agenda for this evening.
Bonnie, if you did an agenda adjustment, you could, otherwise you're funking it to August. Require a motion for an agenda adjustment approved, but you could do it.
And if you want to wait, John, if it's not for tonight, we could also wait for July as well, so the board can spend some time in it. That would be okay.
It would be August.
Oh, you don't have a July board meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
So would August be soon enough to do that?
So we'll be at a full year in August for this. And if we're just, if you're adopting it in August, just understand that it's going to take John a bit to get it all under and rolling out. So if, like, you just need to know the turnaround time is a little bit swift if you're going to adopt in August. So, but it's your plan. But school starts in August, right, John? Or you bring staff back in August?
Yes.
We'll just have it tonight and then Michelle and get it taken care of. So we'll be ready to roll in August.
Okay.
Let's do that.
Okay. I just want to say thank you so much for your engagement and being in touch and letting me come to Reed Support and engage with your community and staff and students. It's been a pleasure, and I look forward to the final product.
So do I. You're gonna have to come down when it's cooler down here.
I know. Yeah. Yes, for sure.
Thank you, Rochelle. Thank you, Rochelle. very
Thank
much.
you, Michelle.
Okay, did you want me to stay on?
You're more than welcome to. Absolutely. Where would we add that to, John?
We go to action item Z.
Do that now. Add that on.
You do it on the second page, top changes to the agenda. You have when your members make a motion to add a change,